All right.
All right. Live with the Estradas again. Are you getting tired of us yet? We are on here every day talking real estate, and we've got an interesting topic. I was curious, and I'm going to ask the group this. Would you ever buy a home? You see the latest trends kind of with merchandise and products, and now it's going a lot towards services. But would you ever buy a home through like a TikTok live or a live event where someone's real estate agents at a property, they're showing you the house through a live, let's just say TikTok live, and you see the home, and would you ever purchase the home by just going on the live and seeing the property? So what do you guys think about that? Do you see that trend coming?
Would that be through the agent that's hosting the live?
Correct.
Okay. So
Yeah,
like you're on TikTok live and you're seeing this property and the agent's like, come buy this, and you would do it, is what you're asking?
exactly. Let's say you're
Okay.
at, because you're at model homes all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you do a TikTok live on a model home and someone in Arizona sees it and they're like, you know what? We've been waiting for this model to come on. And do you ever think that they would pull the trigger as you're live?
I would hope so. I don't think we're there yet. That would make my job a lot easier.
Now,
I
Tiana,
don't.
would you ever buy a home like that?
Um, I will never say never, but we talked about this the other day about buying things online and how there's certain things that I just can't buy online.
Oh,
I
yes.
I think a home would be probably close to the top of my list just because for me, like being the keeper of the home most of the time, I need to know like how the kitchen feels. I need to know how it's a feeling. And I tell my clients that all the time. And I can look on my faces and look on the faces of my clients when they walk in and know immediately if this is a house for them or not. And I think that that feeling can't be replicated online. Now, I'm not saying that it's not going to happen. I do see it happening. There's a lot of people there who don't have the emotional piece tied to real estate. And so I think in those instances, it'll probably be really great for them. But if you're looking for like your principal residence or your forever home or somewhere to really plant your feet, I don't know. I would have to say no in that instance.
I think I would eventually, because look at the car market. You could buy a car online and do all that, and you still sort of still need like, okay, well, I fit in here. What would it be like driving for a few to Denver and back? And like you imagine those things, and people still buy it online and stuff, not really being inside it.
But I feel like maybe a house is a little bit bigger commitment than a car, and you can always take the car back. So you kind of have
Mm,
that in the back of your mind.
that's true.
You can't really give the house back. Although you do go under contract, so there's a period of time where you make the offer, the seller accepts it, and then there's inspections and things like that. So there's time to think about it. So maybe initially you'd be like, yeah, I want to make an offer on this house.
Well, and I'm not, the reason I say not, I won't say never is because just this past year, I sold a house to clients who were not here.
Oh, I forgot
And
about that. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
that
so,
was scary.
but because I knew them so well, I knew exactly everything that they were looking for. So I really focused on that. So we did a Zoom and I walked through it with them and I showed them every view, front, back. I stood there for a minute so they could see how many cars drove by, all of that kind of stuff. And they bought it. And I remember when they came to the inspection, I had a pit in my stomach because I thought they were going to hate it. They loved it. They bought it. They've been there 6, 7 months now and they love it. And so that's why I say I won't say never. I think it really is just maybe if you don't have a relationship with someone and it's just a random house online, I think that's a little less likely to happen. But I see it happening for sure in some instances.
At least making the offer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
at least making the offer. Yeah, I think there's some distinction between, all right, buying the home and closing on it versus just making an offer. I think we'll see the offer making a lot sooner than, actually. I mean, it's almost impossible to buy real estate through a live because there's just certain legal documents that need to happen, right? It's
Mhm.
not like you're buying a shirt where it's like you press a buy button and your shirt, ends up, you see it in the mail on your porch. But I don't know what that buy button looks like for folks that just want to make an offer and, at least get under contract on some real estate.
Well, it could be something like the platforms that we are putting in place on our own listings, or even some of the platforms that our bank clients use for their foreclosures. You just go in there and put in your offer terms and click submit offer. And then if they take your terms, that's when you do the contract and everything else. So that's how I envision that happening. And I think that we talked a couple lives ago about the possibility of rates dropping. I think that if rates dropped 1% or even more than that in the near future, the demand is so pent up out there that it could be you kind of have to go to that sort of platform because people are scrambling to try to find houses quickly.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think in the commercial space, this has been going on forever, as long as I've known it, is you do a letter of an intent. So an LOI, letter of intent to purchase a property. So you kind of give the gist of what the offer is going to be. There's some terms in there, and you send this over to the seller agrees in principle, and then you put everything in writing through a sales contract. I don't know why we don't do that in residential real estate. That just makes more sense to me.
Mm.
We might get to an environment where we see a letter of intent, but part of the terms is I'll only buy this if the interest rate is X. And if
Mm.
we could find an interest rate, program where, we could get that buyer that interest rate, then we'd come to terms and we put a sales contract together. I mean, I think that might be fantasy land, but I think that would be an environment where I think everybody would win. It's like, all right, I'll purchase your home, but I need my payment at this, or I need my interest rate at this in order for the numbers to work. And then we kind of back into it. What do you guys think about that? I just thought of that. So you can punch holes in it. I don't care. It's probably a bad idea.
No, there's no bad ideas. What I love is just trying to think outside of the box. And we were talking about this the other day with just the way the market is and the way real estate is right now. Like if you're not adapting and if you're not trying to innovate your systems and what you're doing, you're not going to make it. And this industry is already hard enough to make it. I can't remember the statistics, but I think it's 80% of agents don't make it through their first 2 years. Um, but I think that us veterans sometimes rest on our laurels and we think, well, we've been doing this for 26 years, so I don't need to change anything. And just because what we've done has worked forever doesn't mean that our clients don't change and adapt and need something different. And so it's not adapting to trends, it's adapting to what our clients need and how we can serve them best. And we can't ignore these online uh, solutions anymore. And I think that there are a lot of people in our industry who are afraid. There's a lot of chatter all the time about, oh, AI is going to take our jobs, and the robots are going to take our jobs, and Zillow and everyone else are trying to take our jobs. I don't think that's the case, because you still have to know what's important and what are the features of the home that's going to sell it, and point those out to people and make sure that they see those. On the buy side, you need to know, is this in line with the right value? Am I overpaying? What are things that I should consider? And you need counsel on both sides. So I don't think that piece is ever going to go away. And I made a post about this a couple weeks ago about how real estate agents have gotten a bad rep because of our own fault. There's a lot of us out there who do a really bad job. And a lot of people don't see our value. And so that's why the conversation of taking the agent out of it has come up. But I don't think that that will ever come to fruition for those reasons. You can't counsel based on a specific person's need automatically. There are just some things that you can't automate. And we talked about that a lot in some of the changes we're making in our business. Some things that can't be automated, some things that shouldn't be automated. And I think knowing the differences between those things and knowing where to use the technology and where to not is a huge issue right now.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday with, we did the analysis, ChatGPT, find us the best deal in Thornton. Um, and it didn't work out.
Mm-mm. ChatGPT
It's
was
not going to replace
wrong.
us.
No,
Yeah.
and I think we should probably go through that in more detail tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, we did a search in MLS. We just did strictly Thornton. We exported that list into ChatGPT, and then we gave ChatGPT the command to find the best deal based on those results. And it pulled up the top three, buddy. Was that it? The
hmm
top properties?
Well, pulled up top 20 and then it did the top three.
Yeah.
Um,
And we're like, no, this is not a good deal. It's been
yeah.
on the market for like 180 days.
hmm Yeah. And the reason being is because they didn't have all the information. They only go based off what the information is given. And so using just the matrix of what we have available, they can't see the back end of like, okay, is this located right next to a railroad? Is this located right next to here? Why is it sitting 181 days? And you're saying that it's the best deal. Well, they're saying it's because of price per square foot, but they're not accounting like, okay, is there solar panels? Okay, is there a finished basement? Is it unfinished? And stuff like that, that real estate agents are very well known in their environment of being a local real estate agent, and that's what makes them a professional and getting them advice, and stuff that AI cannot do yet. Eventually, I think it can, with how much growth it's been. It's only been on the internet for what, a year and a half.
Yeah. 2 years
So,
max.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you bring up a great point, buddy. I don't know how many times we walked into listing appointments and the sellers are like, "Well, Zillow says." Yeah, but Zillow also has this as a 3 bedroom and you have 4, and Zillow doesn't show that your basement, it goes off of whatever public records is and doesn't know the house. And I think that's a huge disconnect and advantage that will never go away that agents have. I don't even put we have in the MLS system, which is where all of our listings are, we have an automatic search that we can put people into. I don't even use that because so many agents put in bad information. They don't put in that there's a garage, or sometimes I see 0 bedrooms and a 4,000 square foot home
Mm.
because they didn't fill in the fields right. And so I spend a lot of time literally going through every listing to make sure that, if my client's looking for a 1 level, I don't put that filter in an MLS. I will look at every property in their price range because some agents will put it in as a 2-story, but it's really a 1 level. So you're only as good. That was the thing about AI, is it's only as good as the information it can find, and the information is only as good as who put it in. And I think that's a huge gap right now.
Yeah, you have to
Totally.
verify everything. You have to know
Hmm.
what to ask ChatGPT. So I don't think we're going to be replaced anytime soon. Um, just based off
Yeah.
that, because you have to know what to ask. You have to know what advice you can give, what you can't give. Um, and I think that's why you define being a real estate professional is I know what I know and I know what I don't know. Um, and so ChatGPT is trying to be I know everything, but at the bottom you'll say ChatGPT makes mistakes. So you have to know which mistakes it's making.
Yeah. I think AI is only as good as the context that the human element can bring.
hmm
And that's what's missing. It may get there at some point or get really, really close, but right now we're not there. So you still
It's
have
like,
the human element there.
it's like your favorite quote in Top Gun Maverick, babe,
Oh, yeah.
when he's talking about having the pilots replaced by robots because they don't have to go to the bathroom and they don't have to stop and do this, and they can just go and go and go. And Tom Cruise is walking out, and then he says, "But not today, sir." And then he tries to make a case for why pilots can't be replaced. And that's kind of where we are, not just in real estate, but in all industries. I mean, you saw it. Remember at Chili's when they were doing the robot? like
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
waiter thing, and we were like, that's weird, but kind of cool. And then they just went away. So clearly that didn't work out either. The only place that I'm enjoying sort of a robot replacement is at like the kiosks at like fast food restaurants, because you can
The
totally
kiosk. Mhm.
customize, like you can customize your orders, because we are a very customized family. Everything is a special order. And so I appreciate that you can go in there and like mark everything, but there's still somebody who has to make the food. There's still somebody who has to check the food. So it's not there. So again, there are pieces that it does make it more convenient, but completely taking human anything out of it, human DNA out of any of it, I'm not sure. I don't know that we'll get there.
Even if
Yeah.
it did get there, I feel like someone still has to be. If it makes a mistake, who are they going to sue? The company? You know, I think we'll always be there to make sure that our clients are protected. Even if there's like an AI real estate broker that is strictly like no agents involved, I still don't think that's going to happen just because of like the liability issue that comes with that.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah. Wow, this has been I did not see us going all these directions. This is really good stuff. And we joke about bringing up the 0 bedrooms and 0 bathrooms. We joke about when those homes don't sell, and that's quite often. We think about sending the MLS sheet to the seller to be like, "Hey, your house may not have sold because you had 0 bedrooms or 0 bathrooms listed, and it could
Okay,
be."
I haven't done that while something's listing, but
Right.
once I have, because it was in a farm area, and I thought that the house was priced right, and they took it off the market, and it was expired for a little while, and I just went up to the house and I knocked on the door and I was like, "Hey, I know your home didn't sell. I sell a lot of houses in this neighborhood. I just wanted you to know that it wasn't because of price. I don't want you to think that your house didn't sell because you were overpriced." And I had highlighted the MLS sheet and I said, "Here's why I think some of the problems were. No shade to the agent. I just want you to be aware, like, it's not a problem with the house. It's a problem with the way it was marketed and the way it was shown to everybody. So when you do want to sell it again, just make sure that these things are addressed." And he appreciated that, and I left. But it's hard because you don't want to be a tattletale in your industry. But again, if you want the bar to go higher, you have to set the bar higher. And you have to make people aware of some of the mistakes. We're human. We make mistakes. I've been called out on my mistakes too, and I've appreciated that. It hurts and it stings. Um, but there are a lot of agents, whether they meant to or not, that don't put good information in, and it costs the sellers a lot of money and time.
Yep. All right. Well, is there anything else that you guys want to bring up before we wrap up?
What has been the biggest benefit for you guys as far as AI? I know you talked about it last time. We talked about AI, like, oh, it can help me make recipes or do this stuff. But do you feel like you're underutilizing it a little bit where it could sort of help you more?
100%. I was watching a video the other day. I think it was Gary Vee. No, it wasn't Gary Vee. Maybe it was. I can't remember. And he said, or someone said, if ChatGPT isn't your default browser,
Mhm.
what are you doing?
He didn't use those
And
words.
yeah, well, he didn't use those
Yeah,
words, but
he dropped a few F
they
bombs.
were close enough. But he's like, why are you going to Google? Why? And I even was going to TikTok as a search engine just to, because I need visuals sometimes. I'm like, okay, show me a video like of someone doing this, or kind of like YouTube, like you guys use YouTube for, or YouTube as a search engine. But this person was like, yeah, if ChatGPT isn't your browser, then pretty much you're a fool, because not only will it find the information, but it'll find it in the way that you need it. And that's even more valuable.
Yeah,
So
as ChatGPT knows you and your style, and tries to find more things that are relevant to you. Yeah, his prediction is Google search is going away.
Yeah.
So if you're
Well,
putting everything in Google search, you need to get used to not having that.
mhm. Yeah, SEO is moving from Google to social and AI. I saw a stat that Google reported a 40% decrease from Gen Z users. So Gen Z is decreasing their search engine to from Google to AI or even TikTok or Instagram Reels. They're putting in what they want to learn because it's easier to see visually on those platforms.
Wow. And I
Well,
heard YouTube as well is a better search engine.
which is
Hmm.
interesting to see through the generations how things have changed, because I will show our age, our generation, we barely just got the internet like when we became adults. So it was the dial up, and then I remember downloading stuff on LimeWire to try to get music like on a disc. Um, so it was just wow, having access to like talk in a different way. And then the next generation was the cell phones and social media and how you can communicate in those ways. And then it was Google. And now Google isn't enough. It's not access to the information, it's quick access with answers to information. And I think that's where ChatGPT is.
The
Yeah, it's
analysis
sort of
part.
it's like the first step. It's like, all right, give me some information quickly, and then I'm going to take one aspect of that and I'm going to dig deeper into it in some of the other platforms, either YouTube or TikTok or whatever. And then we're going to get all this information and then you're going to make decisions. But
Yeah.
it's becoming the first step. Or if it's not the first step for you, then you're sort of getting left behind.
Hmm. What I like about it is that ChatGPT sources it too. So if you have it go search the web, it'll list what the websites it search, and you can go back into those, click the links, and be like, okay, what did it actually say? And you can dive deeper into each one, and make your own analysis from that point too.
Mm,
What I
wow.
will say is there are people out there who absolutely hate and are not behind AI. And I get why, because there are certain things you ask AI and you're like, okay, where's this coming from? Who wrote that?
Mhm,
Whose
mhm.
opinion is this? So, yes, when it comes to broad beliefs, morals, things like that, I don't know. I would never go on to ChatGPT to ask for that, because that's an internal basis thing for me. So there are some things that yeah, it's not good for it, nor should it be. But again, we talked about just efficiencies and streamlining things to make your life easier and to make you better in your profession. um i'm 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 all about it right now, but there are some people who absolutely will not do it.
I'm
Hmm.
just thinking more of a productivity. Like, how am I going to increase my productivity um, using AI? I don't really use AI for anything else. I don't.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, so that's all I'm looking at. That's my context for AI.
Yeah, can I get more stuff done in a less amount of time is really what I use it for. And like you said, like Opus Clip, like we figured that out. That has been streamlining our social media like crazy. ChatGPT, it's great at creating systems or even asking. I asked the other day, I'm like, how should I use you? And it's like, I am great at creating systems and giving you a day by day layout or even hour by hour, depending on what you want to do to help you achieve this. And it breaks down the math, you know? So like, okay, if you want to, I don't know, 500K a year, you need around 70 to or 60 to 70 deals, and it's like, well, I'm adjusting for that high because some might fall through, some might delay, and so it looks at stuff that you might not think of, and it breaks it down for you.
Well, Tiana,
Um,
didn't you bring you did a Chat GPT workout, right? Based on
I did. I
all
put
of your
in
health issues.
yeah, no, I literally listed them all. I said, create a workout routine for a 45-year-old woman who's in menopause, who has this, and this. And it did. And it's kind of along the lines of the workout I was already doing, but it gave me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every exercise, the reps, and then I can download it into my calendar, or I can download it into a list where I could pull it up on Monday when I'm at the gym and just have everything there. Um, yeah, it did it
Wow.
immediately. I also did it for my skincare. I listed like, here are the things that I'm having issues with. Here's my age. here are all of the things that I'm like supplements I'm taking, and it said, okay, here are the things that we suggest for skincare. So yeah.
I also had to audit my Instagram account. Took a screenshot of my profile, and I was like, audit this, have me change some words on it. It's like, if you want to be more local, here's what you need in your bio. This is what people look for. This is the first thing that people see when it pops up. Like, it had a whole analysis, and so I changed that, and now I'm working on, okay, creating reels, doing that stuff. So it's very helpful on analysis standpoint,
Wow.
especially because I tend to be analysis paralysis. So having it be like, try this, do this, and I'm like, okay. I mean, what's the harm, you know?
Well, and I
Ju-
love that you can say make it easier. Make it easier, please. Make it
Yeah.
shorter, please. Make it easier, please. And it'll do it.
Make
It
this
like
third
shrinks it
level, third
down.
grade level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make it so I don't have to do anything.
Well, that's the piece, right? We talked about that.
Yeah.
It gets you
Wow.
started, but it always takes a person to implement it. So,
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll wrap it up there. We're out of time.
okay.
All right. See
Cool.
you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.